trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Investigators are still trying to determine a motive behind the mass shooting on Monday in Boulder, Colorado that killed 10 people. Fox's Alicia Acuna reports.
167 individuals from 26 law enforcement agencies have been working this case for more than 3,000 hours combined. And so far, what they still don't have is the answer to a question that is haunting them.
But like the rest of the community, we too want to know why. Why that King Soopers? Why Boulder? Why Monday? And unfortunately, at this time, we still don't have those answers.
Now, the suspect lives about 20 miles from the King Soopers, where he is accused of shooting 10 people inside and outside of that grocery store on Monday. At a news conference Friday, Boulder's police chief said the suspect purchased the Ruger AR-566 pistol used in the shooting legally.
Boulder's police chief said it will be haunting them until they figure out why it happened. Donald Trump's Florida resort is resuming some services after a number of employees tested positive for COVID last week. Fox's Rachel Sutherland reports.
It's not clear how many people were infected in the outbreak that closed part of Mar-a-Lago, the resort where the former president has made his home since leaving office. Today, shuttered dining rooms are reopening, and the entire club is expected to be fully operational by April 1st. Former President Trump was briefly hospitalized with coronavirus last year. He and First Lady Melania Trump.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Following the news this week that recording artist and industry magnate Bob Dylan would be laying off 2,000 workers from his Muscatine, Iowa songwriting factory in an effort to streamline his music-making operations, The Onion spoke with veteran factory worker Travis Felton, who received a pink slip earlier today.
I've been working on the lyric assembly line for 25 years now. Punch in each and every morning, make sure the words are complex and poetic. And yesterday, the foreman calls me into his office to tell me that the company is reducing headcount. They're giving the whole rhyming section the boot. What Mr. Dillon and the other suits don't understand is that here in Muscatine, songwriting is all we have. And we've been doing the best damn Dylan songs in the world for over 50 years, and now they're trying to take that away from us. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Well, I guess I could see if they're hiring over at the Tom Petty factory in Hurstville. Lord knows I hoped it'd never come to that.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live. And you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves, because that's our commitment to you. Our commitment is that you are able to get out there and call in and talk on as many radio stations as possible. It's right about 200 right now. It's Mark with you.
And the captain.
And for those that listened last week, there's a lot of stations that only carry us on Saturday evenings, or Sunday evenings, or both, or, you know, any variety thereof. We've got weeknight affiliates. We've got weekend affiliates. And I bet you heard a completely different show than the normal. Captain, what was it like last weekend?
Oh, my gosh. It was, well, the thing I missed the most was just being able to take calls.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to call this show Free Talk Live without callers. So
it does sound rather hollow.
We did our best. We had, you know, probably, I think we had 3 hosts every night, just to make sure that we had a variety of, you know, personalities and people bringing in different stories and that kind of a thing to keep things rolling.
2 weeks ago, on Tuesday of the week before last, the Federal Bureau of Investigations busted into the studio and destroyed things, maliciously pulled wires out, and basically just took us off the air. And
the terrorists attack, as I like to call it.
It was the raid that could have been a telephone call. And not a surprise. They seem to wander through here whenever they darned well feel like it. And heck, if you're not going to file civil lawsuits against them for it, why wouldn't they? So they did it, and we're trying to put things back together. Our main host, Ian Freeman, who, if you've listened to the show very often, you certainly are familiar with him.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He is in the pokey right now, and I don't know when he's going to get out, honestly. His lawyer's asking for bail, but haven't gotten it yet.
And
so
the judge said she would make her decision expeditiously. I did sit in on the bail hearing via Zoom, which had roughly 60 people attending.
Yeah.
I'm assuming most of them were within our community. There was, of course, a bunch of, agents and that kind of a thing. But I think that something like 30 of them were from our community.
Yeah. So there's that was 8 days ago. The expeditiousness has gone on for 8 days, and presumably will go on for Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
It's not unlikely that she's going to send out an order on Sunday. And so, we'll wait to see what happens next week. I don't know what I don't know what the factors are on all these things. I'm just trying to keep a radio show going. So
indeed, and it's good to have you back, Mark.
Thank you.
I feel like, I was the guy, bailing the water out of the boat, paddling towards shore.
Yes.
Just sort of keeping things from sinking completely. And, of course, Arya's return was very helpful, as Ian had trained her up for specifically, an instance like this. If something ever happened to the studio,
yep,
she could put it back together, so to speak. So she's been key. And also Michael has been key as well. And so now we're basically functioning, at least with the live show, as we were prior to the terrorist attack on the studio.
Yeah, we were. I think as far as I can tell, we're at 100% today.
There's a couple of things behind the scenes that are still not quite up to date. Some of the podcasts are missing from the freetalklive.com archives, things like that.
Okay.
I'm working on posting the backlog of those up so that folks who only go to that site can catch up. If folks do need to catch up, you can go get all of the episodes at soundcloud.com/freetalklive. soundcloud.com/freetalklive. If you've missed any episodes, they're there. Also, I realize that folks don't have 3 hours to listen to every episode that they might have missed.
It's actually the podcast, the 3-hour radio show's 2-hour podcast.
Right.
But anyway.
But the Riley Blake does the digest version, and those are also available at SoundCloud.
That's true. The digests are great. If you want to keep up on Free Talk Live, a listener, Riley Blake, does a great job of just condensing down the things that he didn't like. He just tosses them out and makes about a 30 to 45 minutes.
It's usually a half hour, thereabouts, and it's the highlight reel.
Yeah, and I think that's so awesome. Let's go to the phones. We've got Jet calling in from the western United States. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I just want to ask a simple question and then kind of go off on about a 30-second comment. And that question is, what organization uses this phrase? Give us your monies or we will hurt you.
Well, none of them say that, but only the state does that.
The mafia?
Well, no.
Well, yeah, that's true. The mafia would do that too. Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody running a protection racket.
Yes.
That's why these people should not be referred to anything but the federal mafia. The fact is that last week you guys were raided by several of Joe Biden's gangs, we'll call them, the FBI, for example, because they claim that you are an unlicensed money transmitter.
Yeah, and what's a license? It's when the government takes your right away and then sells it back to you.
Yeah.
Yes, that means that you didn't give him money. That's what it means.
They didn't get their cut.
And plain. Didn't get their cut. So they decided they're going to come in and teach you a lesson and help you understand that you are their little bee and slave, and unless you give them money, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. So this is why they are nothing but common mafia street gangs. More commonly, you might want to say, because you like to use the word terrorist, you could say domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. And let's see.
One of the things I think of when you say mafia is that it's sort of ethnic specific. You know, the mafia is kind of, Italy is the first thing I can think of when you say that. But I kind of like the term, mob is another term that is a little more generic. Yeah. You know, if you talk about different places.
Cartels?
Well, remember the
They're
fellow
definitely
that
a
got
cartel.
jailed. Remember the fellow that got jailed a long time ago for writing a book called The Federal Mafia?
No.
What the heck was his name?
Is it Jim Bell?
No. He died in prison because
Orange
he
Schiff?
was telling them. Yes.
Yeah.
Schiff. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is these mafia thugs are just other humans. They're not special, as you said the other day. They're not sent by God, especially they're not sent by God. And to those who have been deceived that they might have been sent by God, I am a dedicated disciple of the Christ, and I can dispute and refute everything theologically or factually, biblically, and claim that these are not God's ministers and his messengers. They're nothing but thugs that want to take away your guns, for example, because they want to keep you in perpetual slavery. That's really all I had. I just wanted to start that out.
Let me ask you that. I think we're all familiar with the phrase in the verse in Romans where it says that God has put these people above us and blah blah blah. I can't remember exactly what it says, but something to that effect.
It doesn't say that. It says, "Let every soul be subject to the higher powers." And I ask people, so who is your higher power? And here's the logic that can defeat it every time. You draw a circle, and inside that circle you put every soul, because that's what it says. The key word is every. Every soul is inside. Now show me where the higher power is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is the higher power all of us then?
No,
yeah, it's either all of us or none of us. That's outside that circle, because every soul, of course, as we know, is a sinner. None are righteous.
But doesn't it say something to the effect of he's placed these, that he's placed these politicians and bureaucrats above us? I mean, there's nothing like that? I don't have the verse sitting in front of me.
I can walk you through Romans 13 and show you every discrepancy that these people, and the reason that some of these, a lot of these pastors will teach you this crap is because they themselves have become part of the state by the 501c3 incorporation.
Yeah.
And
that's why we encourage free churches here on Free Talk Live that have not filed paperwork to beg permission to the IRS to exist.
Yeah, so they're obligated. They're obligated to go along, and I think you said it last minute a couple nights ago that, yes, there's nothing inserted in between God and man.
That's exactly right, Chet. Absolutely. And thank you for the call.
Hey developers, do you want to add Bitcoin to your apps, website? Want to make something creative? AnyPay is the way. We made a super simple API just for you at anypay.dev. You don't need any special knowledge of Bitcoin. Plug it into your app or website and it just works. Get paid on the transactions your users make. Whether you're brand new to web development or have decades of experience, you can add Bitcoin to anything with anypay.dev.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the free private cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. FreePrivateCities.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Call in. You are muted. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's not called Mark Talk Live. Or is it?
Says who? No, you can prove that. You can belie that statement by simply calling it at 603-283-6160. And I'd encourage you to get your phone out and get ready to take the number down so that the next time I give it, you've got it. And it's just put in on your phone under Free Talk Live. And that way you don't have to record it again. 603-283-6160.
I tell people to grab a crayon and write it on the fridge.
It's not a bad idea.
A chisel, make a stone tablet.
Indeed. Right. You gotta have it. You gotta have it saved somehow.
I just wanted to say, as a follow-up to the previous caller, Jet, some thoughts on higher power. I believe everybody should make that decision themselves individually. And why do I say that? Because, well, there's a whole bunch of different religions in the world, and there's going to be new religions invented the longer humanity stays alive and on the planet Earth, as evidenced by some newer religions that have come to light in my lifetime. I can think of one that became a major religion, which is Scientology. And I know that they're sort of the laughingstock of religions, but they are considered a religion nonetheless. Now, I am not a Scientologist in any way, shape, or form. I know people who are, but your decision about a higher power should be yours individually. And so, therefore, all your other decisions should also be yours individually. And if you're going to be making decisions individually, then you are the highest authority over yourself. No other man should have any claim to be able to force you to do anything without your consent.
Yeah, and I think that it's so Tolstoy, the guy who wrote War and Peace.
Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Leo. He also wrote a rambling theological text called The Kingdom of God is Within You. And it's probably more accurately his notes, than to call it a book.
Okay.
But it is not as long as War and Peace, but long and not particularly coherent in the form of a book, but coherent in the form of chapters. I think probably the best way. And his message has been reiterated many times throughout the centuries. It's Christian message basically that, look, your relationship with God is your relationship with God, and there's nobody who should be any kind of intercessor. Jesus is, Christ in his case, we're using the term Christ. Christ is your intercessor, and that anybody else who tries to get in the middle of that is what an antichrist, right? And this holds true with the state. The state is constantly trying to hold itself above God. And yes. I think that there's a very interesting point that I love when I talk to some Christians about this stuff, that God only ever asked for 10%. And any government that asks you for more than 9.9 is an antichrist. And that's all I'm saying, right?
When did God ask for 10%?
That's tithing.
Well, okay, I know what tithing is, but did God actually ask for that?
Not exactly.
Okay, so I know for a fact that the modern version of the state came out of religion. Religion, in fact, was the first state, right? They claimed to have control over people, all that kind of a thing. And so, they had all these rules and everything. And you can see it. It's very similar. There's so many parallels between the state and religion. It's ridiculous. They have these ridiculous rituals. They have people that dress up in costumes. They have a faith, right? You have to believe in the state in order for it to exist. It's a human construct. It's only in your mind. You can't have a physical state,
no.
Right?
They've got buildings, but they're not, but the state,
right.
The state doesn't exist.
So to me, statism is a religion, and in fact, it's probably the largest religion on the face of the planet, and a lot of people are in denial that they belong to that religion.
People certainly believe in it, and they act as though it can do no wrong.
Right.
For instance, with the FBI raid on this studio, people will be like, well, why were you doing something wrong? Well, maybe the people calling themselves the Federal Bureau of Investigations made a mistake and shouldn't have come in here and done what they did. But nobody says that. Nobody will say that, because basically the government, or the people that call themselves the government, are looked at like a force of nature.
Yes.
As though they simply cannot be controlled and are not responsible for their actions. You don't shake your fist at the wind in a hurricane. If you do, you're just a crazy person. Get inside.
Old man yells at cloud.
So anyway, there's lots of people who have lots of different opinions on the concept of the state and religion and all that sort of thing, coming to the Fork Fest. And if you want to come to Fork Fest, it's a camping festival in New Hampshire in late June, early July. All you have to do is come hang out with us, because we're going to be there at this party, as many of us who aren't in jail. So the party is in the White Mountains, New Hampshire, at a place called Rogers Campground. All you have to do is go to forkfest.party. That's a website, forkfest.party. Fork is in the thing you eat with. Forkfest.party, and come hang out with us. There's no rules. You do what you want.
Come party with the captain and Mark.
Yeah. So there you go. No itinerary. Nobody's in charge. Forkfest.party. Let's go to the phones. We've got Chris calling in from Texas. Chris, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Captain. I just wanted to take a few minutes. I've been a longtime listener of Free Talk Live for nearly a decade.
Awesome.
And the idea that Free Talk Live is not a church is just preposterous. I mean, you guys, Free Talk Live and your hosts have been ministering to me for, as I mentioned, nearly a decade, with the ideas of peace, love, and liberty, and mutual cooperation among humans. And if that's not a church, and if that's not ministering to people, I just don't know what else is. So I wanted to take a moment and just thank you both, and all of your co-hosts and all the co-hosts of the past who've been a part of this show. And also really just take a moment to direct my attention to you listeners who may not have participated yet in donating to assist either the folks that are currently in jail or rebuilding the FTL studios. Now is the time.
Yeah, Chris,
so
just to be
go ahead, Mark.
Just to be clear, we collected plenty of money to rebuild the studios, and I want to thank everybody who has, including you. I know you've donated recently, and we've gotten we have to redirect funds from the rebuild into the
defense fund.
The defense fund. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Legal defense
fund, because the lawyers are a hole in which money can just be thrown into, and the more money you got, the better lawyers you get, kind of situation. So that's what we're working on now. We want all of the Crypto 6. And remember, the government claims to be protecting the LGBT community. Biden and Harris, they're all about that. They threw a trans woman in jail, our co-host Aria, and the threat is that she's going to go to a male prison. So, square that circle. Don't forget the grandma, Colleen, who got arrested here for selling Bitcoin to people.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And you can go to thecrypto6.com. That's the crypto and 6 is a numeral.
Actually, it can be either a numeral or the word now.
Then I'll just say thecrypto6.com.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever's on your mind.
Colin?
Colin who? Yeah. You think that's part of the Southern accent or not?
Colin.
Yeah, so Free Talk Live, we open up the phone lines and make it so that you can call in. Just to be clear, we're recorded in some markets, so that time is from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and almost every day of the year. Sometimes we're away at a convention and we're doing news shows that are recorded that day, but they're not live and you can't call in. So, they're live, what we call live to tape, which is just like tape.
Pre-recorded, but yet new content.
Yeah, it's new pre-recorded content. So, yeah, by all means, love to have you tonight. It's Saturday night and 7 to 10. That's the time frame. Eastern. Yes. So, it could be not 7 to 10 where you are.
It could be 4 until 7 West Coast time.
We're in Guam, so we're the morning show in Guam. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Check out liberty.menu. We've been asked for years to collect libertarian businesses in one place so that people who believe in these ideas can do business with businesses that share their ideals. Well, we did it. You go to liberty.menu. That's a website, liberty.menu, and you can advertise your business there for free. All you have to do is, you have to click on a little thing that says you believe in the non-aggression principle, and then you list your business, and then people can find your business because that's what they're looking for. It doesn't cost a thing because, well, not worth the trouble. Now, there are some upgrades you can do, but you can look and you can list and you can do all those things for free at liberty.menu. That's liberty.menu. Let's go to the phones. I got Alex calling in from South Carolina. Alex, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's unquestionably parallels between the state and religion. If any, I'm sure many of your listeners can recall the Holy Roman Empire.
Yes, which is neither holy nor Roman.
And I grew up here in South Carolina. I was born, raised Baptist, and then as a Baptist, it was all fire and brimstone.
Yep.
Any
God's mad at you. He's going to punish you for all eternity.
Exactly. Then I went to a private Catholic high school, which is all about, the idols and all this.
Yep.
And I never forget my religion, and when I went, it's changed, but all the teachers were nuns. Some of them were pretty good; they're nice. But my religious instructor was a nun, and once a week she'd always ask, "Who in here?" And she already knew. But who in here? Raise your hand if you're not Catholic. So kind of like it's like something's kind of not right here. And, I'm agnostic, just that you could say atheist. I'm agnostic because I'm more to like the Big Bang and all that. And I don't know if you're familiar with singularity theory with the Big Bang. But we're all agnostic that we really can't prove one thing or another.
Sure. You can't prove one thing or another. I think that one spiritual life goes on inside your own perception of the world. And I
Yeah. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go knocking on people's doors about it.
Yeah, and here in the South, what they I recall is I go to church and it's a Baptist church, and they're like, and I hate to go off the tangent about the war on drugs, but they're telling you the same thing the state would. This is bad. This is good. This is bad. This is good, and it's really closely, there's close parallels with the state, and getting out and going way off base here, but kind of like this whole war on drugs thing. And
I don't think it's off base at all. I mean, the fundamentals of Christianity, as it was taught to me, was freedom of choice. Like, you simply cannot understand the concepts of sin and evil and good and the benefits of righteousness and all these things without understanding the opposite of it. And you have to be able to choose between it. A righteous man isn't righteous because he doesn't do wrong. He's righteous because he chooses not to do wrong. And there's a complete difference there. If you just keep a kid locked in a room and he can never sin, well, that's not sinlessness. That's imprisonment.
Right.
And so, God was all about providing freedom of choice, and that's what this whole experience is about. So
but it doesn't
that's why I would say, and this is really important here, is that's why I would say that any religious person that votes for restrictions on vices and these sorts of things from the government, they want the government to limit this thing or that thing or the other thing, they don't understand freedom of choice and God's role in that. That would be my contention.
And I just want to say that it doesn't require a religion for you to subscribe to a religion to be a righteous person.
It's true. Go ahead, Alex.
Yes, I completely agree. And I read Siddhartha by Herman Hesse, and I guess I'm segueing into this right off base, and this whole the state quickly about. I'm very, I guess, conservative in many ways, and I've heard people taking issue with the police. Have your stance on the police?
Sure.
And I'm very pro-police, but I will say this, and the same thing I feel about police, state, and religion. You're out of fear. I live a lot of my life. I think things I do, and I think is this police. It's a lot of this is intimidating you, and a lot of times you out and you're driving the road. And most people want to do good, but I think we have something where we're in the state, and the police too. It's out of fear, and people we shouldn't be living our lives in fear. And this is what I think. And quickly, I think the Biden administration about these people who smoke. I don't do any drugs, at least not anymore. But anyway, this Biden administration, the hypocrisy that people who smoke pot. And they're not giving them, they let them go, or not. They're not getting promotion. It's just the hypocrisy is just rank. I love your show. I'll get off and listen to your answer. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Alex. So,
was there a question in there?
I don't know, but I'm going to talk about. There's always a question. I've always got something to say. So regarding police, I wonder if. When people hear me specifically, I can't control how anybody else talks on this radio show.
Yep.
And that's really important here is that people think that Free Talk Live provides a cohesive message. It doesn't. There's two people on the air here and you if you call in at 603-283-6160. If you call in, you don't suddenly become the radio program any more than I or the captain are. Really. I mean, Captain and I don't agree on every issue.
No, we sure don't. On some issues we do.
Some issues we agree on, some we don't. So if you hear from me an anti-cop message, it means to me that you're feeling defensive about police. What I think regarding police is that police are human beings. Human beings are either responsible for their actions or they're not. And when they're not held responsible for their actions, they will act in an irresponsible fashion. And that we have put way too much on cops, way too much as far as expectations go on police. And as a result, they've, their power has grown, and people with power have, it's just shown people with power, some of them are going to get corrupted by it.
It gets abused.
It's the way it is. And it's not because we're bad. It's because we're human. And that's what my contention would be is that I want to see responsibility on for cops to do what they want. They have no more rights than I do. They collect rights, for instance. So in the sense that I have the right to physically defend myself against a bad guy, a cop has a right to physically defend me against a bad guy because we have given, as a society, some of our rights over. However, I don't have.
Have we though?
Well, that's the notion.
Okay.
As it understands. I mean, I'm not arguing whether that occurred or not.
Okay.
Simply that's what I'm told in civics class. And but I mean, I don't have a right to stop somebody from smoking a cigarette or drinking a beer or smoking a blunt or doing a line of coke. I may think it's a bad idea. In fact, I will go on the record right now as saying it sounds like a bad idea. And the cops don't have a right to stop that either.
Agreed.
That's my contention. And if we stop the war on drugs, the world would be a better place. Free Talk Live.
Do you ever say, I could care less, when you really mean the opposite? You mean to say, I couldn't care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your daily routine. So whatever you say, don't say whatever as a single word sentence. It's the most annoying expression in the American English language, according to a recent poll. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. But seriously, at the end of the day, you'll want to avoid this scenario, sounding like everyone else. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
I done forgot your name, but we had 9/11, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, if they weren't here, could it have happened?
Could what have happened? If who wasn't here? How wasted are you? That's what I want to know.
No, sir. No, I'm not wasted.
Okay.
No, please just listen to me.
Okay.
If the people weren't here that drove the planes into the Twin Towers,
yeah,
right?
They flew them. They didn't drive them, but okay.
No, I'm not saying that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Because now
wow.
Yeah. I gotta think a minute.
That's all right. We got nothing but time.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL Social Mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. Yes, they do say yeah in there somewhere.
Sorry, I'm ear drumming.
Thanks to, it's Rebel something. What is it?
Rebel Inc.
Rebel Inc.
I know, I couldn't remember their name the other day as well. One of our listeners actually pinged us in one of the chats that I didn't see until later and said Rebel Inc. And so I'm sorry that I forgot their name. So now I remember it's Rebel Inc.
Right. We used to have all kinds of metal going in and out because Ian likes that long-haired devil music. And
so do I. Come on. I did it for 20 years. Maybe more than that.
And he, so that's what he would have. But, as the show got bigger, we weren't always on stations that had paid their ABSCAP BMI fees, so it became a problem, and then YouTube and, all the shtick that went with it. So we simply had a band, let us use some of their stuff, and we've got a little signed-off piece of paper, and everything's great.
Yep. If you ever need more of that, let me know because, I can supply.
There you go. Let's go to the phones.
Before you do that real quick,
Yes?
I just wanted to say my position on cops and the police. I believe that the police force should be completely abolished and replaced by private security, period.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. I think that at one point they were kind of that, and we've actually got
I don't think so.
Well, New York City took some interesting steps by eliminating qualified immunity, and I'm interested in seeing what that experiment's going to look like.
Yes.
Before we go on, I do want to thank RV Chris for being a gold amplifier. If you want to do as RV Chris has done and become an amplifier and support the show, you can go to amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com. If you support the idea of freedom of speech where people can call in and talk about whatever they want to talk about, well, by all means, go to amp.freetalklive.com.
Thanks, RV Chris.
And on that note, I didn't get this person's name, but she's calling in from Aberdeen. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. I discovered you about a year ago.
Okay.
I've been listening ever since, off and on. I'm not always able to catch every broadcast, but what you do is you speak truth to power. And, critical thinking allows for, if you're critical also with yourself, you're going to face yourself in the mirror and go, hey, I guess I'm kind of a renegade. Well, I am. I was raised a critical thinker. My father and mother were critical thinkers. All of we siblings are critical thinkers. And since when does freedom of speech get broken into on the air by the FBI? I was stunned.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed.
Well,
What in the hell is going on? And furthermore, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but this needs to be said. Is this the first time this has happened currently? As far as I'm concerned, the door was thrown open at your station while you were on the air. This is history making right now. This begins it, doesn't it? Where other stations will get broken into, just like happened over in Europe.
Oh.
Fascism is what we're looking at. Fascism.
These
and they'll
thoughts
probably be visiting me at my front door, and I don't care if they do.
These thoughts have flashed through my mind this in the last couple of weeks too. I have to, I want to keep a even keel, but I understand where you're coming from. Boy, do I.
I can't disagree with her. I know that I have surmised many times on this particular radio program that the United States of America, as far as the government is concerned, is what is known as a closing government or a closing society. I don't like using the term closing society because society is people. There's a difference between society and government, but we are certainly on the downside. We had peak United States, and now we're on the other side of it. If you follow the history of Rome and map that against the history of the United States, you'll find a whole bunch of parallels, and those parallels indicate what I'm saying, which is the government is on its way out.
I have been watching assiduously a friend, my oldest friend, 65 years, we've known each other, And I've been watching assiduously for about the past 15 years and tracking all of it. And it's clear the way we're headed. And people need to be concerned. They need to really tear off the blinders and realize this kind of thing, okay, they opened the door at your place. And how much more are we going to have? How many times? And then are we going to get used to that too?
Yeah.
And ignore it?
Well, what's the Reverend Martin Niemöller poem is first they came for the
yes.
First what was it? Who they come for first? I don't remember. First they came for the communists, and I wasn't a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I wasn't a trade unionist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew, so I said nothing. And then I think it's the Jews were first, by the way. And then they came for me, and there's no one left to speak up for me, is the old saying. And I do think Free Talk Live is a bit of a canary in a coal mine. What was your name? I didn't get it when I wrote down.
It's Kirsten.
Okay, Kirsten.
Swedish name.
I have a question,
keep
Kirsten.
Keep it up and don't give up.
Before you go,
away.
Kirsten, my son's 13 years old, and I want to make sure I'm raising him to be a critical thinker. How do I do that?
Oh my God! How do I explain this?
I know it's not the easiest thing. I mean, I've thought, and what I do is I try to use logic to break down problems in front of him in a verbal way. So I'll say, well, let's look at the problem and let's break it down as into its component parts, and then let's try to rebuild a solution. And I try to get him involved in it. And that's the best I've got for building critical thinking skills, because school certainly doesn't do it.
No, they don't.
Okay, well, here is what my dad said to me. God bless him. I love you, Andy, wherever you are. I asked him what it was, and he looked up at me. He was a constant reader, a constant scholar. He was brilliant and no college, taught himself. He looked up at me with his glasses at the end of his nose, and he said, honey, question everything.
Yeah.
I went, what? He said, question everything. Everything. Try it. Go after, study, dig. Go deep. Don't just go surface level. And he said, somewhere in there, your own intuition's going to come into play as well. Trust your gut, in other words. So I looked at him. I looked right back at him. And I said, does that mean you too? And he kind of stammered. And he says, well, yes.
It does mean that. It absolutely does mean that. Kirsten, thank you for the call. I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it. And I hope you call in again soon.
It brings me a lot of joy to have somebody like Kirsten call in to this program. Sometimes folks will, it's us. We're here 7 nights a week doing this kind of thing. So, I'm glad that other folks are seeing. You're picking up what we're laying down is really what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's probably headed up, picked up long before we ever did.
Agreed.
Let's go to the phones. Got Scott calling in from Florida. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, Mark and Captain. I've had my differences with Ian in the past, but I'll tell you one thing. I hope the FBI is listening. He's a gentleman, a scholar. I don't know the man. I never met him, but I know he's not violent. He doesn't have a violent bone in his body.
He sure doesn't.
The only reason FBI, Federal Bureau of Intimidation, if you hear this, and my name's Scott, maybe you want to knock on my door too. You're going after someone because you're persecuting him because you do not agree with his ideology. Committing a crime is one thing. So what it is you are a Bolshevik communist
I'm glad he said
organization that wants to terrorize freedom of speech. Look it up in the Constitution if you haven't burned it yet. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution guarantees freedom of speech, but you don't want to stop there. You want to also go after our Second Amendment rights. Ian is not only talks the talk, he walks the walk. I'm a coward. Remember I told you I wasn't going to pay my taxes? I had to knuckle under to the Internal Revenue Service, another terrorist organization, which is the brother of the FBI, because my financial advisor said if I did not pay it, they would just shut off all my money. But unlike Ian is doing time, and he's a very courageous man, and he does not deserve what he's getting. But I will tell you one thing, and I hope Ian's listening or somebody can relate it. This country is evil. It's an evil, and I'm going to use it, and I know Ian wouldn't agree with me. When Zionist occupied
yes, he
government,
certainly would not agree with you.
What I mean by that is when you've got George Soros, when you've got the New York Times, when you've got the Federal Bureau of
Scott, one thing I'd say about that is I know what I actually like to grind. There wasn't a single international Jew that busted in to the Free Talk Live studios
that I'm aware of. Yeah,
I don't know what an international Jew is. By the way, I have no idea. It just sounds like stuff made up. But
what about an intergalactic Jew?
Right, cosmic Jews. Yeah. Give us a call, 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160, Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A cleanup in the South. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. People in parts of the South are combing through debris after deadly tornadoes this week. Fox's Charles Watson is in Pelham, Alabama.
Piles of tree debris, pieces of roof, grills, just a ton of personal belongings. It's going to be a long road to recovery, some of whom have portions of their homes missing. There are people in Georgia trying to pick up the pieces. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says it's unlike anything he's ever seen, but help is on the ground.
Forecasters say more severe weather is possible this weekend. A bipartisan delegation of lawmakers toured a Border Patrol processing center in El Paso today. Texas Democratic Congresswoman Veronica Escobar told reporters afterward that her party doesn't want open borders, but something else.
What we need in our country is open minds, and we have to be ready to tackle what are challenges in foreign policy, challenges in economic policy, challenges in domestic policy.
A group of Republican lawmakers toured a border housing facility yesterday and called conditions there deplorable. Workers are scrambling to free a giant ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal. Fox's Kitty Logan.
There are 14 tugboats attempting to refloat this container ship, and canal authorities say there was a shift today, some slight movement, but just not enough. The Ever Given is 400 yards long and straddled right across the width of the canal. The ship is also weighed down with thousands of containers.
The U.S. Navy says it's ready to help in the effort. Egyptian media reports at least 18 people are dead after a 9-story apartment building collapsed in Cairo. It's not clear what caused the collapse. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you running a business? Then why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office 24/7. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Hundreds of demonstrators gathered in Istanbul today for an anti-government protest demanding the reversal of a recent decision by Turkey's president. A week ago, President Erdogan ended Turkey's participation in a landmark treaty aimed at protecting women from violence. About 1,000 women and allies turned up today to protest the withdrawal from the Council of Europe's Istanbul Convention. This evening marks the annual Earth Hour. Fox's Tanya J. Powers explains.
There may be fewer lights burning on planet Earth this evening. That's because tonight marks Earth Hour 2021, when people around the world are encouraged to turn off their lights for an hour at 8:30 local time. Earth Hour started in 2007 in Sydney, Australia by the WWF as something symbolic, and it's grown into a global environmental awareness event. The Earth Hour website says it's held each year on the last Saturday of March in more than 180 countries and territories. Because of the pandemic, organizers are recommending people take part online and virtually. You can find out more at earthhour.org. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A biopic on the legendary singer Tina Turner premieres on HBO Max.
My mother, she used to sit in the window of the kitchen when she was making dinner on Sundays. I used to just watch her. I thought she was so pretty.
Tina Turner has sold more than 200 million records. The superstar's life unfolds in the new doc, Tina.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
A report confirms that many Iraqis are still holding a petty grudge about the U.S. invasion. An advanced alien civilization discovers an uninhabitable planet, and a single woman has a Facebook profile picture with her sister. This is the Onion Week in Review. A groundbreaking study published Monday in the Journal of the American Medical Association confirmed that it is impossible to lose weight. No one has ever done it, and those who are trying should give up immediately. Researchers said that findings conclusively prove that shedding excess weight has never happened, changing your physical appearance is impossible, and that all sorts of exercise, personal training regimens, and diets will never, ever work.
Well, our test results conclusively prove that if you're going to the gym to lose weight, you will fail. You could work out every day and eat nothing, and you still wouldn't lose an ounce. Skinny people will stay skinny. Overweight people will be overweight. That's just how it is.
In other news, an area man is outraged. His private information is being collected by someone other than advertisers. And a crowd cheers as this 93-year-old fuck-up finally graduates from college.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Kicking off the second hour. It's Mark with you.
And the captain.
You can hear our radio roots there with Rebel Inc. blasting in the background. We did start on a rock station. We were at the evening show on a rock station
Really?
Sunday night.
What year?
2002.
Been
a long time.
Trying to remember what's popular for rock in 2002.
I don't know. I think music died before that.
The music's still around, but it's that there used to be hundreds of bands selling millions of albums, and now there's millions of bands selling hundreds of albums.
There's a few hits here and there, but I mean, I got to say that I don't know, they weren't what I liked in my youth. I mean, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they say it's better than right. I mean, it's catchy.
Yeah.
It's
You liked pop way more than I did. I hated the pop out of the 80s, all of the popular music I hated. I didn't like much of the glam rock as well. In fact, the 1980s were one of the most over-decorated periods of time in all of history, in my opinion. And so it wasn't until I found, some thrashing, angry guy music where the people on stage were wearing jeans and T-shirts like, regular people, that I found my niche, and that was thrash metal at the time. We're talking early Slayer, Anthrax, Metallica, stuff like that.
Well,
I am from the old school.
Yeah, Free Talk Live did rise from rock and roll. So let's go to the phones. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And the captain.
603-283-6160, 603-283-6160. I believe we've got Eric calling in from Iowa. Eric, you're on Free Talk Live. Eric, can you hear me now?
I'm sorry to hear about it.
I think you're breaking up a little, Eric. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just go ahead with it. Make your statement, if you would, please.
Okay.
Bad connection.
Yeah, I was going to say, regards to, it seems, from what I'm hearing, it was a 5-year FBI investigation.
Correct.
And they charged it conspiracy.
Right.
It seems to me conspiracy is the catch-all charge that they throw at you when you're going to jail. I just can't imagine how you could ever beat a conspiracy charge.
Right, and wire fraud, too.
Kind of my comment.
Wire fraud's essentially just the accusation that you've told a lie. Now, remember, thank you for the call, Eric. Appreciate it. The FBI is the organization, the only policing organization in America where they can get up in front and just sort of testify at what you said. They don't have to produce audio. They don't have to produce video of any kind of occurrence. They can just say, "Oh, this happened," and we say it happened, and we're the FBI, and that's it. That's what Martha Stewart went to jail for, was lying to an FBI agent. But they didn't record it. They don't have any proof that that's what happened. It's just her word against an FBI agent, and she didn't want to take that chance, so she went ahead and went to the pokey because her attorney said, this isn't going to go well. And, well, I hear you. So, yeah, it's a tough situation. Let's go to Jill calling in from Richmond, Virginia. Jill, you're on Free Talk Live.
Some people believe that if you don't believe in God, you can't believe in liberty. I don't think this is right. I remember an article Ayn Rand wrote, I think it was in Man's Rights, an article where she quoted the Declaration of Independence. Man created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Yep. She said whether one ascribes man's creation to nature or to God, the issue of man's origin does not alter the fact that he is a specific nature of a specific entity of a specific nature. She said he was a rational being and needed to be left alone to live his life according to his own judgment. And, of course, people have a right to believe what they want, but I think the government shouldn't prescribe what they should believe. The government shouldn't officially endorse or deny a supernatural realm. It should just say, that our hands are off, that's not our business, and we don't lay down beliefs about that one way or the other.
Yeah,
I think Jill's right on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't have separation of church and state if the state is a religion. And that appears to me to be what it is. There are too many parallels between, officially recognized religions and the state for it not to be.
Also, you basically can't get elected. They did some kind of test, and it's probably been 10 years since we've read this on the air, but they did some kind of study, and Americans would rather have a Muslim for president than an atheist. Like, they asked him, who would you not vote for? And, for what I guess what my thought process. I'm no atheist, mind you, but I believe that I would choose somebody for the job of president based on their, in my opinion, ability to do it. But you always hear about the religion of the person who's running. I mean, Trump's standing there with an upside down Bible in his hand or whatever, appealing to the moral majority, as it were. And I would say that, even today in America, you can't get elected generally, as there's the percentage of atheists in office is probably even lower than the percentage of atheists in the population, I guess is what I would say.
Oh, I believe that you are factually correct. And I've identified as an atheist before, but I currently identify as a non-theist, and there's just a little bit of a distinction there, and that's to just say that theism doesn't groove my soul in any way, shape, or form. That's not to say that I don't believe that there are things that I don't understand. There's a whole bunch of things in the world that I don't understand, including potentially supernatural things or things that the human mind can't quite wrap itself around. Right. So, what causes these things? What are these things? Well, we just don't know the answer to that, and that's where I'm at with it.
And speaking of the Ayn Rand quote that Jill had mentioned there, by the way, so awesome. I wish the audio was a little better on that phone. What I would say as far as, when it comes to humans and liberty being inborn, I do believe that liberty was born into humans. That God made humans to be free and wrote it into the script of the universe. And what I would say is that when you talk about, think about ants for a second. Mm-hmm. This is a species that is totally not free. Right? Like, you were born to do what you do, whether you're the queen or a worker, and that's that. And the statists out there have long looked at beehives and anthills and, termite mounds, and they've said, if only we could just make these small group primates. Look, I get it. Statism, socialism, authoritarianism, totalitarianism, these are all fine ideas in your fiction world that you write down. Fine idea. Wrong species.
Yeah, I agree. And you had mentioned something about electing officials, presidents specifically, but so let's just take that for the example. What are the requirements for being a president? This country's been around for 200 years or whatever it's been, right? And so we've had, an election every 4 years, right? So what are those qualifications? Is there a list of qualifications for being president of the United States?
It's in the Constitution.
Well, no, those are the prerequisites, right? Okay. You have to be, over age 35 and that kind of thing. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the skill sets, right? Naturally. When I interview for a job, right, I have to have a specific set of skill sets in order to go and do that job.
That's really the crux of it is that the qualification is the ability to sway enough people to vote for you.
Right.
Or in Trump's case, sway enough people to vote against you. That's it. So the skill set to get elected is in no way related to the skill set to do the job. And that is a fundamentally very bad system. What it takes to get elected has nothing to do with what it takes to run a country. And the people that are would be good at running a country don't have a snowball's chance in getting elected. This is really, really bad.
It's horrible and horrific, and look at the results that it produces.
603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. I want to talk about New York City and that qualified immunity ban on cops. Free Talk Live.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the free private cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. FreePrivateCities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now, or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind, because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. The whole point of the show. The numbers, 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. Roger Ver is the guy behind Bitcoin.com, and he has been a huge help during this situation with Ian, and I want to thank him and everybody else who's donated to the cause.
Agreed.
Yep. And we're trying to get lawyers for the Crypto 6. You can go to thecrypto6.com and find out the whole story and donate there, thecrypto6.com. But real quick, Bitcoin.com, it's the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignorance about this important world-changing information. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news. All on a slick and easy-to-use website. It's Bitcoin.com. And There really is no excuse any longer.
We had a gentleman show up, a new guy show up to our crypto meetup yesterday, and he asked, what is the most used crypto for like your everyday stuff here in Keene? Because Keene's unique in that, well, there's a bunch of places that accept cryptocurrency. And the overwhelming answer by everybody who attended was BCH, Bitcoin Cash.
Bitcoin Cash, yeah.
For, buying your dinner or, going to the convenience store, getting your car repaired, all the fun stuff that we can do here in Keene. That was the overwhelming answer.
Lots of different cryptocurrencies out there, and they've all got different use cases. Bitcoin Cash is great for transactions. Let's go to the phones. We've got Vernon calling in from New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
So I recently got into this genre of, soft rock called yacht rock, and it's like Steely Dan.
Yacht rock.
Yacht rock. Yeah,
okay.
It's like Steely Dan, Christopher Cross,
Chris Christopherson,
Ambrosia, America, Michael McDonald.
It has to be Jimmy Buffett has to be on there too, right?
Hold on, let him finish.
I'm sorry?
Jimmy Buffett has to be on that list.
I haven't seen him on the list, actually, but it seems like every song has a saxophone in the middle. So
okay.
It's rather relaxing. I know it's not your heavy metal, and it's not rock, but it's you could consider it a soft rock, I guess. It's always got a guitar in it and a drum set, so I don't know. But
that's awesome.
My other question was, can we expect any of the people indicted to appear on the show before their case is resolved? Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. So he's talking about the Crypto 6 here, and
we might have. I don't know. Do we have news in that department?
Yeah, we absolutely have news.
I didn't know if it's public knowledge yet.
Sure, I'll rattle off the Crypto 6 real quick.
Okay.
There's Aria, trans woman who is a main host here on Free Talk Live. There's Colleen, a grandma who runs a convenience store here in Keene, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ian Freeman, who is the founder and a main host here on Free Talk Live.
Yep.
Main hosts being me, you, Aria, Ian, and there's some friends of ours, Renee and Andy.
Yep.
And who am I missing here? Aria, Ian, Andy, Colleen.
Nobody.
Oh, that's right. Nobody.
And I don't mean you're not missing anybody. I mean there's a person named Nobody whom you have omitted from the list.
Rich Paul changed his name to Nobody to run for governor so that you had the option of voting for Nobody for governor. And he's going to probably run for more things too because that's the kind of guy he is. He's still in the pokey, but I believe he chose to not take the bail conditions that they gave. So he's sort of there voluntarily if one can make that sort of claim. I don't really, perhaps a better way to describe that. So of our hosts, the people, so Colleen's not on the air. Renee is not on the air. She has been in the past. And Andy's never been on the air. So you've got 3 people who are generally not on the air and 3 people who are.
Right.
Of those 3 people, Ian and Rich Paul, Nobody, are in the pokey. And
they're being held captive by the terrorists.
Yeah, in the cooler. And of course, when they get out, it's very likely that the judge does not seem to want to say that that any of these hosts are not allowed on the air because that would be a free speech violation.
Yeah.
So I can tell you this, Aria should be on the air come Monday.
I welcome it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And, I know there's some things that she's not going to want to talk about.
Or maybe even be able to talk about because of the conditions.
That's the reason.
Yes.
It's the want that I'm referring to.
Oh.
So, yes, we'll have somebody here shortly. When do we have we'll have somebody soon and Nobody, I don't know when. So, there you go.
Nobody knows when Nobody will be on again.
Nobody knows better than I do.
But somebody will be on soon before Nobody will.
Right. Ian needs to get one of those silly names too so he can really play a who's on first kind of shtick.
Maybe I'll change my name to Everybody.
Right.
And then you could change yours to Somebody. So we could have Somebody, Nobody, and Everybody.
You could just change mine to Hell No. Let's go to Kirby calling in from Indianapolis. Kirby, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, actually, you guys just answered my question. I was calling in to see how Ian and Nobody were doing, and if you guys had heard anything from them. Had they been given a bail hearing? Just trying to check in on them guys. I just worried about them. I'm sitting here in the middle of the woods was another gentleman you know from Indiana whose name I won't mention.
Okay. But when I go to Indiana, I'm going to look you guys up. I really am excited. So Rich Paul got a hearing, as I understand it, and refused bail conditions, and maybe they'll come up with better bail conditions and he'll get out sooner and whatever. I'm not entirely sure what the thing is there.
We've had a hard time getting communication to him. One of our co-hosts, Chris, attempted to do one of these online visitations because, well, you can't go and do visitation in person because of, quote, COVID, unquote. So you have to do it over Zoom now to get a visitation with somebody. But there were some sort of technical difficulties. We're not sure where those lied. He wasn't able to connect. We have been able to get a letter to him. So that was written, and, his account is funded. So we know he's got, if he has access to the kiosk and that kind of thing, he can get the toiletries and stuff that he needs.
Ian's still in the pokey, and they put him in medical confinement, against his will.
For observation.
Yeah, probably retribution, but maybe, who knows? I mean, Ian is a weird guy, but, I don't know. He's not dangerous to himself or others.
Yeah.
So whatever. So he's been reading. He called me today. He gets 1 hour a day of sort of not being in their little hole, and he's telling me he's reading a lot and doing push-ups and repeating positive mantras, which is definitely one of his things. He has stickers here on the Free Talk Live studio bathroom of little things that he says to himself to make his day better or whatever. So there you go, Kirby.
Hey, well, tell them guys that I and my friends who they know or keep thinking about them. We got them in our thought, and if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Thanks, Kirby.
TheCrypto6.com, Free Talk Live.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever is on your mind. Been all over the board tonight. Man, we really haven't even got to the show prep tonight, Captain.
Sometimes it goes that way, and sometimes those are the best shows when back-to-back callers all night. Far out, solid, and right on, man.
Yeah, that's right. It's the Captain and Mark with you. I want to tell you about AnyPay. Everybody's talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Well, what about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It's money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, anypayx.com is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get the free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. Anypayx.com. That's anypayx.com. They're a point-of-sale program app for cryptocurrency, and not just regular old Bitcoin, but all kinds of cryptocurrencies too. Anypayx.com. Let's go to the phones. We've got James in Michigan. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I was calling. I was a little excited. I got to spend Bitcoin for the first time ever this week.
Nice.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Did you buy a Tesla?
Well, I've been sitting on an. I wish. I've been sitting on an Edge wallet for a while, and I ain't gonna lie, I did all right. I probably about 10 times on the Bitcoin, but I had some BCH, and I picked up a T-shirt on the Crypto 6, and I made a donation there. In fact, I was messaging Captain there on Facebook a little about it.
Thecrypto6.com. Yeah, you can go there and make donations. I think they've got links to the T-shirts that are available. Different people are putting together T-shirts, and we want to support everybody who's trying to support the Crypto 6. So we're, doing our best to put it all together. Understand that everybody's a volunteer and everybody's working as fast as they can.
And if you're talking about private messaging on Facebook, I don't do private messages on Facebook. You can send me a private message and I will never read it. Now, if we're interacting in a thread or something, that's fine. I just want folks to be aware of that because I don't have the app on my phone. I only use the browser for Facebook. So
Captain,
it was only a comment thread.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I hope that you can get an email address through Free Talk Live here in the near future.
I was going to ask you about that, and it's just been such a low priority for me. But yeah, we should try and do that.
Yeah, we absolutely need to get that done so that everybody else has got to mark at freetalklive.com. We don't have the Captain at freetalklive.com
or Captain Kickass
or whatever
at Free Talk Live.
It's too long.
That'd be great. How about just Kickass?
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
Any of those. So James,
I noticed when I spent that, I noticed what you guys talk about, the fees. I've never had to deal with that before, and I went to the BTC, and I'm like, well, why would I pay this much? The BCH was far superior in that realm.
BCH is for spending, BTC's for holding.
Or hodling.
Hodling.
Hodling, whatever
However it is.
pronunciation.
Yep. But thank you for that. I appreciate it, James.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you for holding it together. Yeah, the other thing, I was real curious on your Free Cities project.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of looking at the website a little. It seems as though it's centered overseas, I would say.
Right. So it's freeprivatecities.com. freeprivatecities.com. The concept is that to bring back the old city-state, and the idea that instead sort of model it after not like a resort, but a resort that you live at. So not in the sense that there's pools everywhere and, you know, alcohol and gorgeous women or anything like that. Let's hope that we've got all those things. But the idea is that when you go to name a resort, James, can you think of one?
Oh, I
how about Atlantis?
I didn't do the resort.
Yeah, Atlantis, Club Med, those are a couple.
Yeah.
Club Med.
Right. You go to Club Med, and you when you show up there, you never think about, well, I should vote on who the CEO is. You know, like, I got to get those darned Republicans out of office in Club Med and the Democrats in, or vice versa. Yeah. You never think that at all. You think, I'm going to live my life here for a couple of weeks, and it's going to be great. And the idea is that you sign a contract when you come into the city, when you become a citizen, or even you're coming in to do business or whatever it is. There's different types of contracts for different things. And you have rights that are spelled out. The social contract exists in free private cities, as opposed to just changes whenever at the whims of politicians. We currently live in a world where they say you trade your freedoms for responsibilities and the government's protection and blah, 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 blah. That's the social contract, right? And that is the social contract in sort of its basics.
I never signed anything.
Well, you didn't sign it, but you kind of...
I would never legally call it a contract.
It's none of those things, absolutely. But the contract, it's not a contract when the other side can change their rules of conduct at a whim, not tell you about them. And I mean, like, for instance, to the best of my knowledge, this studio is rated over some, unlicensed money transmitting. Best of my knowledge, nobody committed unlicensed money transmitting, and we have legal opinions. Remember, legal opinions, because that's what the Supreme Court calls what it does.
Yep.
It says the majority opinion and the minority opinion. Really? People are willing to break into your house and shoot you, point guns at you, and fly drones around over opinions? Let's just lay it out in fact. Yeah. What is the contract, and operate in that manner. So that's the idea behind free private cities. We don't believe this is possible in the United States. The land of the free is no longer, and that we will acquire some land from some country that wishes to trade money for sovereignty. And not entire sovereignty. Sovereignty doesn't actually exist, right? It's just it's a term. So I think that the sovereignty is like China, Russia, and the United States, and maybe not Russia. And these are those are the things that are sovereign in the world, and the rest of the countries are just kind of making their way. But
So I guess that was my question: is you're not talking about trying to take over existing towns and make them better. It's more of a start over from scratch.
Right. Well, don't argue, build. So my problem with the Free State Project is that I do think they'll be successful. They will argue their way to more freedoms in one location, but it's going to take several lifetimes to get there. And where you can buy a piece of property, sign a contract with a country, and begin building, and then have something pretty feasible in 5 years. And I think that that's a faster and easier and less controversial way to do things. There's certainly some controversy that that surrounds this stuff.
Well,
there's an organization called...
Being a study of economics, I would think that it would be so successful and productive for that country, they would have a vested interest in maintaining your sovereignty.
So that's the Hong Kong model, right? Like, Hong Kong was significantly freer than China, and it became, and as a result, became very, very wealthy. I would caution you. Freedom in and of itself is not useful. So think about Pitcairn Island. It sits out it's a rock that's 1 mile by 2 miles out in the Pacific Ocean. There's 42 voters. And you could, and they're currently trying to get people to move there. They'll give you a free plot of land to move there. And you will right away figure out that, not having too many people around gives you a great deal of freedom. But what good is the freedom if you don't have any commerce going on? You have to be in proximity to people for it to matter, in my opinion. And I think that the experimentation in self-governance is important enough that it needs to occur. You can't buy 100 acres in the United States and say, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and make my own place. You can, like, a city can make more laws than the state, and a state can make more laws than the federal government, but none of them can take them away, really. No, I mean, obviously, Colorado has legalized weed, and the federal government doesn't particularly like that. But
several states.
Yeah, several states have done that.
Well, nullification, but that takes generations too.
It's not the easiest thing in the world. James, thank you for the call.
I like what you said about building. That's the old Buckminster Fuller quote. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
Yeah, that's what innovation is. 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number is 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. You can, by the way, it's Mark with you.
And the Reverend Captain Kickass is here.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we did bring in some show prep tonight. It's been all calls.
We did.
The whole time. And apparently you've got a Reason Magazine article, which, by the way, one of my favorite sources for show prep on this show, about the New York City doing away with, you help me out, with qualified immunity.
New York City ends qualified immunity for police officers. It is the first city in the U.S. to do so.
Okay.
What is qualified immunity, Mark?
That's really, really important. So qualified immunity, so there's sovereign immunity. That's what a king has. A king cannot be held responsible for his actions because, you know, he's king, right?
He's the king.
He writes the laws. There was qualified immunity is relatively new. It's just came around in like the mid to late 60s surrounding sort of the civil rights actions in the South.
Yes.
So qualified immunity says that police officers are not cannot be held severally responsible, meaning responsible for themselves for their own actions. So you can sue the department, but you can't sell the cop as long as they're acting within under the the law. Not if they do something beyond that, then they can be held responsible beyond that.
A common complaint amongst people when it comes to police is that the police cannot be held personally responsible. If there's ever a lawsuit won against police who've done somebody wrong, the person might win, but they're just getting more money taken from the taxpayers, and the police officers don't suffer at all.
And things have definitely changed in the criminal justice system in the last 100 years. So there used to be something called citizen's arrest because a cop and a citizen weren't anything different. The cop was just a citizen that was hired to do full-time the things that citizens could do.
Right.
And they changed. There are problems with citizen's arrest. In Georgia, before the whole COVID thing, there was a guy that was looking around a construction site. Two good old boys come up, and the guy's leaving, and they gun him down, and they're saying that he was burglarizing. And I mean that case hasn't been meted out, but it doesn't look so good in my opinion. Also, there were like the state would not bring up charges. So, for instance, if you wanted, when it came to a battery charge, do you want to press charges, ma'am? Why? Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. Yeah. And if you didn't press charges on battery, it was over. But now the state does all the charge pressing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the person wants to press charges or not. The state just picks it up and presses charges anyway because they think that they can prosecute it and blah blah blah.
Right. So you can't, as an individual who has been harmed by someone else, you can't drop the charges.
Right.
And that is, to my mind, a real problem.
Mine too. So this article says, and I just want to preface this with, we give New York a whole bunch of crap because it is one of the worst places in the United States by a long shot.
Huge government stuff, but I'm interested in seeing how this works. It should be an interesting test case to see how doing away with qualified immunity works. We've claimed that this is a solution for a long time, and to see it enacted is stunning to me.
It would be at least a improvement. The New York City Council on Thursday voted to end qualified immunity for police officers, becoming the first city in the country to take such a step. Mayor Bill de Blasio has indicated that he will sign the measure. The legal doctrine of qualified immunity makes it notoriously difficult to sue government officials when they violate your rights, requiring plaintiffs to find a previous court precedent that addresses a case with almost identical facts. In a statement, the council said the legislation will protect New Yorkers against unreasonable search and seizure and against excessive force, and ban the use of qualified immunity or substantially equivalent immunities as a defense. Per the bill, victims of police misconduct would be able to sue officers under local statutes as qualified immunity remains in place at the federal level. Colorado and Connecticut last year passed similar pieces of legislation, and several other states are considering joining them, including New Mexico and Florida.
I think New Hampshire is, well, as a matter of fact, I know New Hampshire is considering something like this. Also, I spoke to the guy who's high up in the New Hampshire House just about a week ago.
It's not Snoo.
No.
Okay.
No, he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to me. That's Governor's Chris Sununu.
I call him Snoo.
Yeah, it's funny.
He's chicken. At any rate, the article continues. In the current moment, such localized action is arguably the best option for plaintiffs, with a fragmented Congress and the Supreme Court unwilling to fundamentally reconsider the doctrine. Former Rep. Justin Amash introduced a bill to end qualified immunity for all state actors in June 2020. It achieved tripartisan support, but never received a vote.
So at the time, when you say tripartisan, Justin Amash, I either went independent or libertarian. I'm not entirely sure which. And so he was, in the House as not a Republican. He got elected as a Republican, changed to a libertarian, presumably because he didn't want to work at the House anymore, and didn't expect to get reelected. And sure enough.
While the court has sent a few promising messages on qualified immunity this session, it has repeatedly refused to assess it wholesale. The lack of ownership has drawn critiques from those who point out that it was the court itself that conjured qualified immunity into existence.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the court, it was the Constitution was modified to have prohibition, then modified to get rid of it. I mean, these are sort of the United States is supposed to be an experiment. So if they experiment with statism, it doesn't surprise me. I don't think on a federal level that there's any standing for most of the things the federal government does.
Agreed.
The founders wrote that document, and they were very specific in the Bill of Rights. And I don't want to give credit to the founders. The states weren't going to ratify that thing without the Bill of Rights. And the 9th and 10th Amendments to the Bill of Rights basically say, if it ain't in here, it ain't in here. And the federal government doesn't have any business doing. And the federal government handles almost nothing, like treason, weights and measures, post office and post roads, like really not much else.
Yep.
Interstate commerce and, civil rights claims and things like that.
Yeah, they're
all
certainly
sound fine.
not supposed to pass down things to states and force them into positions that they otherwise wouldn't be in.
Right. The Interstate Commerce Clause and the General Welfare Clause are the two most abused aspects of the Constitution. I mean, 99% of the federal government exists within those two clauses, and that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and on the West Coast, too, there's a lot of clamoring against corporations. Sure. Oh, we hate the corporation. The corporations are evil. And well, the corporation was created by the state.
Yes.
It is legal fiction, so to speak. It was a concept created by the state to give them special privileges.
And by the way, those special privileges stem out of qualified immunity.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what it is. The corporate officers don't have the same level of responsibility as a sole proprietor does. And I can see value in that. I mean, you don't want everybody on the board of directors of Amazon to be sued every single time that an Amazon truck runs over somebody's dog or something. But that's the issue there.
Yeah, it's a horrible method to prevent frivolous lawsuits.
Don't worry. In the world where more freedom exists, they'll find ways to protect the board of directors. Don't worry.
Well, and then some would argue as well that the United States government itself is a corporation.
It's inarguable.
Yeah.
It was incorporated in 1776.
So, if you're
1789,
if you're anti-corporation, then you are by default anti-government.
Yeah.
In my mind.
You can see any town government when you go in. It says incorporated. Here in New England, it's going to be like 1737 or whatever it is. It'll be right there. Some of them are even 1600s.
Yeah. So the article continues. Most recently, the justices declined to hear an appeal from a man who was beaten and arrested by 2 cops for standing outside of his own house. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit awarded the pair of officers qualified immunity. The legal doctrine is supposed to protect state actors from vacuous civil suits. Instead, it protects them from meritorious ones.
Yeah.
Qualified immunity has shielded 2 cops who stole $225,000 while executing a search warrant. It protected a cop who shot a 10-year-old, a cop who ruined a man's car during a bogus drug search, a prison guard who hid while an escaped inmate raped a nurse, 2 cops who sicked a police dog on a surrendered suspect, etc., and so on. The list goes on.
Yeah. Well, your thoughts are welcome. 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160 here on Free Talk Live.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The former president plans a visit to the border. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Former President Trump is making plans for a trip to the southern border as President Biden faces mounting pressure to also make a visit.
Over the next couple of weeks, the Border Patrol wants me to go. Probably over the next couple of weeks. I don't think there's a rush for me to go. He's supposed to go and make the decision. A very, very bad decision was stay in Mexico, where he ended that, and it's incredible.
The full interview with former President Trump will air tonight at 9 on Fox's Justice with Judge Janine. The San Diego Convention Center will become a temporary shelter for unaccompanied migrant children. San Diego Democratic Mayor Todd Gloria.
What we're doing here is animating and making clear that we are a welcoming city and we will provide for these young people. These are children. This is the right thing to do, and San Diegans will always do the right thing. Americans will always do the right thing. I think this serves not just the best of our city, but the best of our country.
The center will only house immigrant girls between the ages of 13 and 17. Police in Virginia Beach investigating 2 deadly overnight shootings.
Police say an argument, then physical fights turned into a gun battle. 8 victims had serious to life-threatening gunshot wounds. Police say they heard more gunfire a few blocks away and found a woman shot to death. They do not believe the 2 incidents are related. Then police say an officer shot and killed an armed suspect that was found near the woman's body. All while this was going on, a Virginia Beach police officer was struck by a vehicle and taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
Fox's Lauren Blanchard. Jewish families around the globe are beginning the week-long observance of Passover, the commemoration of the Old Testament story of the exodus of ancient Hebrews from Egyptian slavery more than 3,000 years ago. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
There's another push underway by Amazon workers to form a union.
This new push coming at an Amazon warehouse outside Birmingham, Alabama, where Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders showed up Friday offering his support. Amazon workers supporting the union, citing relentless quotas and poor working conditions. Amazon fighting the union effort, saying it's created thousands of warehouse jobs in Alabama with an average pay of $15.30 per hour and benefits including health care, vision, and dental insurance. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
An investigation's underway after a small plane crashed in Alabama. The pilot, the only person on board, had to be extricated and suffered a compound ankle fracture. LA District Attorney George Gascon reportedly halted efforts to prosecute a juvenile gang member accused of murder as part of his policy of not prosecuting juveniles as adults. The victim's family is criticizing the policy. LA Sheriff Alex Villanueva says similar decisions are happening throughout his county.
They've suffered enough with the tragedy itself. Now they're being victimized all over again. And this is happening every single week in every courtroom in Los Angeles County. There's a new horror story. And it's the question, where is it going to end?
Gascon's office has withdrawn 77 motions to have minors appear in court during his first 100 days in office. Krispy Kreme is offering a free glazed donut to customers who have received the COVID-19 vaccine.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Well, our own Rebecca Mera takes us on a tour of the Olympic Village.
We have a full-size bed, lounge area, showers, plenty of space, which is great because I'm constantly having sex in there.
The Village is a temporary home to the world's most physically impressive athletic men and women. It was important to the Olympic Committee to give them a comfortable, state-of-the-art area to each other's brains out while they're not competing.
We have a pool where they can have a sex, a theater where they can have a sex. All these athletes are hot, horny, ready to go. They deserve the best.
I was in Vancouver where I got eaten out by this French speed skater. I have to say, these facilities are even better, and I'm going to try to a Japanese guy.
You've spared no expense.
These athletes deserve the best. They sacrifice so much for their countries. They deserve to be able to until their and can't take it anymore.
And these facilities won't go to waste. Once the Olympics are over, they'll be converted to a resort where Russian businessmen can come to their prostitutes.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, kicking off the third hour.
Hour number 3.
It's Mark with you.
The Reverend Captain Kickass is also here.
And you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. I'm looking at the phone right now. It's wide open, folks. So if you tried earlier and it was busy, admittedly, we haven't got all the phone lines up. Or at one point, we had like 4 or 5 phone lines here in the studio.
I think we could do as many as 6 or 7 at one point, but currently we're limited to 2, I believe.
Right. Blame the FBI for that.
Yes.
And if you want to fix that, go to thecrypto6.com. That's thecrypto6.com. And yeah, donate to the campaign to free our co-hosts who have been locked up in the pokey.
Indeed.
So 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. Something interesting happened this week, besides having to deal with the raid on Free Talk Live studios.
What was it, Mark?
It was in New York City. There was, they decided that they were going to do away with qualified immunity. And this is a decades-old doctrine that basically says police aren't responsible for their actions individually. It's kind of like giving them the corporate protection of the department. So you can sue the Department of Tyranny Land, but you cannot sue the cop unless he breaks the law. So the idea is that in fact, if a police officer breaks the law in some manner or another, then you can sue him and the police department. But honestly, it doesn't work out that way. This article from Reason Magazine that we just went and read in the final segment of last hour, it mentions many things that the police officers have managed to get off with qualified immunity. Now, I'm not saying that
it's a huge list.
Yeah, in these situations that the victim didn't get paid, but let's talk about, for instance, his name was Philando Castile. And this happened in Minnesota before George Floyd and all this other stuff.
Okay.
He was a black man. He worked as the head of the cafeteria at a public school. He was in the car with his girlfriend. She referred to herself as wife, but they weren't married legally. So
okay.
I believe that if somebody says they're husband and wife, they're husband and wife, because all of this exists in language. And the government is just a bunch of organized criminals that, say things.
Yeah.
So if the government says you're married, that doesn't make it any more or less married, in my opinion.
Nothing says I love you like adding a third party to your relationship known as the state, who requires you to pay them a fee for a piece of paper that recognizes your marriage.
So Philando Castile, did I mention he's a black guy?
Yes.
Okay. His daughter is in the car. So, they had a daughter together. They're, driving around their family. Police officer comes up, and if it matters to you, the police officer's Asian. And he says, whatever. I can't remember what it was over. It was some kind of traffic situation. Philando Castile says, I have a concealed carry permit. Now, the officer, this is really important. The officer said, let me see your license. Philando says, I'm a concealed carry permit holder. And he's going for his license. Because remember, the officer said, let me see your license.
Right.
And he said, don't go for it, bam! Like, it literally was that long. Let me see your license. I'm a concealed carry permit holder. Don't go for it, bam. It was like 2.5 seconds from when he asked for his license and then he's dead. Well, dying. And in that situation, the police officer was sued severally, and his qualified immunity protected him from that situation. Now, I can't tell you what happened with that officer. Has he been let go from the force? I have no idea. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. The family of Philando Castile, and there's some injustice in here if you want to know it. The family of Philando Castile got, I think it was $1.3 million from the city of Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, right?
Now, I'd hate to think that my life is worth $1.3 million, only worth $1.3 million, but there's people I've met that is probably worth less. So anyway, they shoot the guy and they give money to his family. This is his mother and, that family up. Yep. But because he didn't have the government piece of paper, as I understand it, the girlfriend/wife, depending on how you want to call it, got nothing.
Yep.
So now she's the one whose blood was her husband's blood was sprayed across her, and her child was the one that was in the car and heard the bang and watched daddy die and all that stuff.
Right.
By the way, should be an interesting life that girl grows up to live.
No kidding.
And that's what qualified immunity did in that circumstance. Now, I'm not here to say I think that there's all kinds of problems. We pushed the Philando Castile thing over and over again, and I really wanted the NRA to pick that up.
Yep.
But they decided to back the cop because that's the kind of organization that they are. Now, to me, that seemed like a clear civil rights violation. The cop gave an order. He was following the order. The cop shot him. He was a concealed carry permit holder. By the way, I think this is really worth pointing out. Concealed carry permit holders are 10 times less likely to commit a felony than a cop.
Oh, yeah.
Who is 100 times less likely to commit a felony than your average individual. So if the math that I've seen on the internet is fair, then a concealed carry permit holder is 1,000 times less likely to commit a felony than your average schmo on the streets.
Yep.
So if somebody says, I'm a concealed carry permit holder, that ought to sound something like, I'm an Eagle Scout. Because the chances of them being whatever it is that one might think they are is low. Now, I know there's many people out there that hate guns that think about concealed carry permit holders as super bad people or whatever. But the best evidence I have is they're super good.
I mean, I'll take that, and a different spin. My opinion on that kind of a thing is, well, it's just like any other licensing. The government has taken away a right to do something and now sold you a license in order to be able to do it.
Oh, I'm not claiming that that's not true. I'm just saying the evidence that I've seen on concealed carry permit holders.
The people who go and get a concealed weapons permit have to pass some sort of a background check, the same one that you have to pass in order to buy certain kinds of firearms in, the states that require this type of a thing. And generally speaking, it requires no criminal activity that is in the eyes of course, the government, the law enforcement agencies, but no felony is at a minimum for a concealed weapons permit in the states that I'm aware of. And that even includes like some of the, we'll call them the Western states, right? Where the old West, South Dakota comes to mind as one of them. I actually did carry a concealed weapons permit in the state of South Dakota. I was able to travel with it, and it was actually recognized across multiple states. I traveled down to New Mexico with it, and New Mexico does some weird things, and they pull people over just for the heck of it and search your car and all that stuff. But I had the document. And so, carrying a gun was fine.
Yeah, it's different states have different levels of reciprocity.
Yeah.
And it's all very interesting. I don't know a great deal about it.
Yeah.
I am, they're allowed to discriminate against me because I'm a convicted felon. So I was safe enough to let out of prison, but I'm not safe enough to own a gun. And I'd like to make that point real quick because I think it's fair to do. I'm not that interested in owning guns personally. Yeah. But that's because there's so many people in the world that have them, so many people in America that have them, that they keep me safe. So I just don't need it. And thank you to those people that do. But when felons commit crimes, and they do, and they use guns, do you think they followed the law?
No.
So what's the point of the law?
There isn't one.
If the law prevented felons from committing crimes, then there would be a lot more felons, since it's legal for a felon to own a black powder pistol. There'd be a lot more crimes of felons robbing, say, liquor stores or whatever with black powder pistols, and that's not happening because the felons don't care about that law. So it's the same old saying, if you outlaw guns, then only outlaws have guns. If you outlaw felons having guns, only outlaw felons have guns. It's just that dumb.
It is. It really is. And you can apply that same thing to the recent Colorado shooter. All the leftists who want all these laws for gun control, they already exist in Colorado, and he went and shot up a place anyway. So the law doesn't prevent any of that from happening.
No, it doesn't. The number, 603-283-6160. Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
I'm getting joined by Ellie Granderson. She's going to put a feminine scope on these lace kerchief starbuggers and give us her lady opinion. Ellie?
Hi, Joe.
You know, it riles me up every time you walk in here, Ellie. You set my blood to dancing with all your pillowy parts.
Oh, stop it, Joe.
Now give it to me, no fimble famble, Ellie. When we start dusting these rocket boys' lily white bottoms with baby puff?
Joe, since the end of the Cold War, NASA has basically functioned as a giveaway to the American aerospace industry, wasting trillions of taxpayer dollars every year on extravagant programs with no tangible benefit.
Fine as a plum to look at, all the sense of a badger to boot.
Joe.
Now I've been thinking on, I got these three little chickens pecking on my head. Will save NASA some coin. Man wants to go to space, can strap on the helmet, climb in the cannon, let the Chinese gunpowder carry him off among the stars. He'll come back now. Gonna skin a fox in one throat, and you're gonna fancy on it.
This is the Onion News Network.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. We do call it Free Talk Live because you're free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. 200 radio stations, anytime between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
I have the total at 187. I say that because it was 185 before the terrorists attacked the studio, and then I got word from our rep that there were 2 more added.
I know for a fact it's higher than that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I figured the count was low, but whatever.
Yeah, so, there was a switchover between our old syndicate, Genesis Communications Network, whom we love, and our new syndicate, Talk Media Network, and whom we think is going to do good for adding stations and is doing well. I've got to say, I'm very impressed with Josh and the gang over there. And my buddy Willis works over there too. Radio's a smaller and smaller world as it gets down. But so they, there was a couple of stations sort of lost in the mix and that sort of thing. And we're trying to retain as many as we can. We were at over 200 at one point, and I suspect relatively soon we will be at over 200 again. And that's the goal. So, well, the goal is 300 after that, right? And, I'm certainly not here to celebrate the death of the godfather of radio or anything like that, but I have stated on the air many times that Free Talk Live's single greatest advantage on the radio is that we're quite simply younger than all of our competition. There's a few people out there that are sort of our age, but
I've been feeling old recently, but you've made me feel young today. Thanks, Mark.
Right. At 50, you're 49.
I'm 48.
Yeah, you're 48. You'll be 49 this year.
I will, but don't rub it in.
I just turned 50.
I thought you were 52. I'm kidding. No. I didn't think you were 52.
And they, right. So I'm 50, and I'm a youngster in this business.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, let's go to the phones. Got David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, you could just commit suicide like the news director, program director at the University of New Mexico radio station. You could do that.
Oh,
well, I'd prefer not to.
I have to tell you that I ran over what I can only call a suicidal bunny yesterday on my way home from the studio. Yeah. It jumped out into the road, like far enough ahead that I saw it jump into the road, and then it jumped out of the road. And then as I got closer to where it jumped out of the road, it jumped back into the road again. And I tried to just move a little bit to sort of straddle the little bastard.
Yeah.
And, hopefully not run him over with my tires and maybe he'd survive. But then I heard the inevitable bunny thud.
Yeah.
And I was sad. I became sad.
The thing about that is that what's important, I mean, if you've got a chance to check a rear view mirror and you're crossing the road, that nothing's in the oncoming and that kind of thing, absolutely take the time to do that. But if it's a situation where you just don't have time to check, the best thing you can do is just go ahead and take the bunny out. And I'm sorry, I love the bunny, but if you slam on the brakes and somebody's following a little too close and they smash and it's some kid that gets killed, it's not worth the bunny. I'm sorry. That's just the way it has to be.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I've hit, animals before. I grew up in Wisconsin, so I've, of course, hit a deer in my life and that kind of thing. Squirrel, skunk,
Shiny object. Shiny object.
Yeah, indeed.
Shiny object. What were we talking about? I think we were talking about radio, as in radio must die. And somehow we got to bunny suicide.
Wait, why must radio die, David?
Well, like, for instance, this. You guys have how many radio stations you're just talking about? Well, you have a competitor, Cumulus Media. You guys are probably well aware of Cumulus Media, right? So on cumulusmedia.com, Cumulus Media engages listeners with high-quality radio, well, that's debatable, high-quality radio programming through 415 owned and operated stations across 86 markets, delivered nationally syndicated sports, news, talk, entertainment, blah, 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 blah. Bunch of happy horse blank. Anyway, so Cumulus Media, here's what Cumulus Media does with that power they have attained.
Okay.
If you call into any Cumulus Media station talk radio program like KKKOB in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you want to talk about, let's see, for instance, you are skeptical that the election, the presidential election, or the other elections, the recent election was completely legit. If you bring that up at all, they are instructed to get rid of you as a caller. That's a no subject. You cannot talk about that, cannot question it. And the same thing goes for if you are skeptical of wearing a mask. You must be dumped. Get rid of that caller. We can't have any mask skeptics on Cumulus Media like KKKOB Radio, like the Darren White Show or the TJ Trout Show, et cetera, et cetera. And if you are skeptical of the vaccine, if you in any way denigrate the vaccine, that might encourage people to think before they get injected with some experimental concoction, then you are also censored, blocked, dumped from Cumulus Media, e.g. KKKOB Radio, like the Darren White Show in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So I'm with you. I think that this is, well, not everybody's got the sensibilities of Free Talk Live, right? They're not all, the same concept. So they can do whatever they want, especially a commercial radio program, can do whatever it wants when it comes to programming.
Right,
so
making a show, right?
Right. There's shtick that if you call in with some particular topics here on Free Talk Live, you probably won't stay on that long because to us, it's just not that interesting, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And obviously here you can talk about your skepticism towards masks if that's what you want to do, or your skepticisms toward the experimental gene therapy that they're calling a COVID vaccine. And no, I'm not saying that's bad. All medical procedures were experimental at one point. This is experimental gene therapy. I just kind of wish they'd call things what they were. I'm tired of living in a world where they keep me in the dark and feed me bullcrap and then expect me not to grow mushrooms. I mean, that's what goes on. And the vaccine, like vaccines we've had a long time, it's a great way to prevent polio, right? But this isn't that. It's not the polio vaccine or anything like it.
Yeah.
They're just using that same term and riding on the back. And to me, that sounds like lying. And I don't like that.
Oh, it definitely is lying.
Now, I'll probably take it because I've seen a lot of people taking it and they, by and large, seem fine. And, that's that. I mean, I have the advantage of being 50, so I'm not in that first round of people that get the experimental
until the
gene
aliens flip the switch and you all obey their every command immediately.
That hasn't happened yet?
Right. I mean, maybe it kind of has.
Speaking of which, skeptical the people call in about it. I mean, we haven't had a good moon landing call in a long time, I got to say.
You're really trying to draw him out of the woodwork.
So a friend was talking to me about the moon landing being staged just today, so I thought it was amusing.
I wonder if the people on the radio,
Thanks for the call, David.
On the radio station or stations in which David was alluding to, wear masks while they broadcast.
Clearly, they can't. It just doesn't.
Why not, Mark? Wouldn't it sound good if they have a mask on in front of your microphone?
To me, these masks are, in part, a good thing. Like if a mask is. If it's protecting me from spitting on you while I talk, that's fine. That's great, right? If we could sort of show how it prevents the spread of the virus, that's great. But all they do is say it helps to prevent the spread of the virus and you're a bad person for not wearing it. And that's the only conversation that surrounds masks.
Yep.
There's no conversation otherwise. And I'm just not that kind of person. I'm kind of a critical thinker and I want to know the facts.
Huh. Weird.
And a piece of paper hung over your mouth isn't doing much, in my opinion. Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can call in and talk about whatever you want.
You can, can't you?
Yes, you can. And you'll talk to us, won't you?
You will, won't you?
Yes, you will. And our names are
Mark
and the Captain.
Nice. They are, aren't they?
They are. The number, 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. You know, and the funny thing is that's been the number for a very long time. We just didn't give it out generally because we had an 800 number and we threw in another syndicate and all that other stuff. So now you're actually coming into the studio and I'm actually answering the call.
Right. And also, for those folks who might not know how toll-free numbers work, toll-free numbers do not require a telephone. They require a destination. So in other words, a toll-free number needs to point somewhere else. Mm-hmm. You need to tell it a local phone number to go to. That's a 800 number, an 888 number, 877-866-855. Those are all toll-free numbers. Yep. They require a destination, a local number to be pointed at before a call will route.
And so, for instance, most people are calling in on 603-283-6160. And they're not paying any tolls because they're calling in on a cell number, or they got a national plan or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I haven't paid a long distance fee inside the United States in 20 years. Yeah. You know, and what we decided was everybody knows 603 is, or more people know 603 is a New Hampshire extension. This is a New Hampshire show. And so let's just go ahead and use our New Hampshire number, 603-283-6160. It's a good number. So,
and I can still hear a pin drop.
Right. And instead of getting an 800 number where we pay for every second that you're on hold, every second you're on the air, every second of those things, and you're calling in, and it would have been free if you'd have called a regular number. Well, let's just go ahead and take the free stuff. So we cut overhead and we went that way, and that's fine. We had talked about masks in the last segment and sort of what do masks do. And I decided to Google it. What do masks do to prevent COVID? And here's the CDC. This is a common question. It says masks substantially reduce exhaled respiratory droplets and aerosols from infected wearers and reduce exposure of uninfected wearers to these particles. So it's claiming that you have your exposure reduced, right? Uninfected wearers to these particles. So exposure of unaffected wearers. Do you believe that? How I'm breathing around my mask, not through it. I've had those N95s on, and it's restrictive.
Yeah.
I'm not much interested in that thing. And you can't wear it for long because it kind of becomes clogged. I mean, if you're getting on a plane and you're going to be like, I'm going to be on for 3 hours, I'm going to put my N95 on just as I get on the plane, I think you'll be fine or whatever. But after some period of time, it's like you're breathing around that too, because it just kind of becomes clogged.
To me, the biggest conspiracy here is the fact that most people have been convinced that otherwise healthy human beings walking around breathing fresh air are somehow a threat to them.
Yeah. I'm amazed when I see people outside with masks on. This is just something I will not do. I'm not wearing a mask outside.
Saw it today repeatedly.
Yep.
It was a nice sunny day, about 70 degrees here. I had some errands to do around town, went and had some dinner with some people, before the show tonight and that kind of a thing. And yep, walking down the street, walking your dog, mask on your face, walking down the street, outside, nobody around.
Amazing to me.
It's
amazing to me. I saw 3 people taking a walk with each other, one on the one side of the road, one in the middle of the road, and one on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So they were 8 feet apart,
yeah,
wearing masks.
Well, and the thing that I don't like is I'm seeing like sort of preteens and maybe early teens who, of course, get together with their friends and roam around town on like bicycles or in groups of 3 or 4, and they have masks. But when the parents aren't watching, they're down.
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other and hanging out with each other.
Down in funny
and all
shapes.
that yeah. And then, of course, when they get around the corner to where their parents are, the masks are up.
Right.
Right. So they already know. The teenagers already know that there's something wrong with the whole facade.
A friend of mine is having his house work done. He said, I'm convinced that the workmen only carry masks so that they can put it on for when they go home. Just convince the wife that they've been wearing it all day.
Oh,
because they're not wearing it during the day.
Right.
Is the idea. So you had mentioned something about zero COVID cult.
The zero COVID movement.
Okay.
Let's
call it a cult.
Yeah, this is from the American Institute of Economic Research. This is written by Jenin Younes. I'm not sure how to pronounce Younes. The past year has given rise to some strange and novel methods of disease containment, including lockdowns and mask mandates. It is unsurprising that the natural next step in this progression has been the development of a movement known as Zero COVID. Its growing influence is perhaps predictable, given that for nearly a year, over a year now, I guess, we have been inundated by the views of so-called experts seeking to legitimize their myopic worldview that public health is determined solely by prevention of COVID-19.
Right, and this is very strange. Like everything else doesn't matter. Your family member is dying of a heart attack. You can't go in the hospital because you might spread COVID. This is inhumane.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't tell you how many people I've met who have had a loved one. I mean, because I've talked about it on the air here, and nobody talks about this. A loved one who passed away or went into the hospital, and they couldn't go in. I've got a good friend whom I visited in the nursing home for, close to a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him in over a year.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, he just talks about how bored he is, how he thinks that life isn't worth living. I mean, this is awful what we're doing to people.
No, I agree. And, I brought it up around the holidays. What happens to all of the folks who used to go caroling at the elderly homes, that kind of thing. When I was a young kid.
You mean the super spreaders?
Yeah. When I was a young kid, in one of the families that I was with, the thing to do was to get together with some folks, church-oriented activity, and go caroling to the old folks' home.
We did that in my Methodist youth group.
And oh my gosh, like, I'm not, a particularly religious dude or whatever, but
it's nice.
You could see the joy on these people's faces when you came around to carol.
Yeah.
It was like an event for them. They were like, oh my gosh, they were so happy. So, like, apparently, you can't comfort old people because of this. Also, too, what happened to public service messages for, like, healthy people, right? Have you heard the government or anybody put out a public service message about, hey, if there's a pandemic, perhaps you should start thinking about, like, your nutrition habits and what foods you're putting in your body and what kind of vitamins you're taking or not taking, or
alcohol consumption.
All of these things. They're not saying anything about any other thing that you can do to strengthen your immune system, they've even stopped talking about washing your hands. It's all about the mask and all about the social distance.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm hearing wash your hands. Washing your hands has always been a good idea, but I think that the worry that comes from COVID-19, this cortisol buildup, because cortisol builds up in your body when you're, worried and stressed and all that stuff. That has to be far more unhealthy than whether or not you choose to wear a mask while you're walking around the park.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people are so worried about it, and that is not a state that is a state of healthiness, of health and wellness.
It's not about health. It's about compliance and obedience.
That's what it seems to be. Oh, and it's kind of like a totem too. Like if you wear a mask, then you wanted to see Joe Biden in office, and you didn't like Orange Hitler either. And the people that aren't wearing masks, they're all, minions, brown shirts, modern brown shirts. Like, it is the craziest thing. I don't care which crooked old pervert you liked.
Yeah.
Don't care. In fact, I moved to the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, so I didn't have to listen to you kooks.
Yeah, it's weird how it's almost like the anti-Scarlet Letter. Everybody else puts something on, and so everybody who's left over must be the bad guy.
Star-bellied sneeches.
Star-bellied sneeches.
Indeed.
Snooch to the booches.
Free Talk Live.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Call in. Well, I might be able to squeeze you in. Yeah, I'll give you the number. 603-283-6160. It's Mark.
And the captain.
603-283-6160. Captain, let's just jump straight into the calls.
Okay.
You down?
I'm down.
I'm down like 4 flat tires.
We've got phones back, so why not, right?
That's right. Lysander calling in from Indianapolis. Lysander, you're on Free Talk Live.
Great name, by the way.
It's made up.
I just wanted to tell you guys about some true believers we ran into out in the woods of Indiana hiking in a state park.
What kind of true believers?
Groups of people in masks.
Groups?
Out in the woods.
How big are the groups?
Yeah. Well, one of the groups was, like 20 people?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a good size.
Around 20 people. And then there was a couple families here and there that you'd see wearing masks. Maybe an individual walking by himself wearing a mask.
That's baffling to me. The individual by himself. Like, I can kind of see if you say, all right, well, I'm going to be within 6 feet of somebody. By the way, now the Biden administration has said it's fine to be within 3 feet of each other as long as you're in a school. Now you won't get the COVIDs that way. But,
okay.
You know, it's interesting how the rules just changed once, Orange Hitler went away and Uncle Touchy came in. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's partisan. Just me thinking.
Well, Pope Biden came in and christened government buildings. So
I'd hate to think that he's christening anything.
Hey, Lysander, do you know how to keep the Biden administration from coming after your guns?
How do you do that?
You keep them upstairs.
Oh, that's right. He fell trying to get into go up the stairs to the Air Force One, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, poor guy. Well, that's what happens.
Yeah,
should we ask him why he called?
When you elect Dr.
The caller?
Yeah, he called about the masks.
Oh, that's right.
People walking around in the woods with masks.
Wearing masks in the woods.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Lysander.
Wearing a mask.
It's to me, I'm not wearing a mask if I'm outdoors.
I think I time traveled there for a minute and came back.
I can kind of see if you're standing and facing somebody. Like, this is the thing that was never talked about the 6 feet. 6 feet from, like, sort of directly in front of your face. I'm with that. Now, most of the cases are spread inside the home. Homes are have much less ventilation than businesses do. because, people are cheap and they don't want to pay to air condition the outdoors or heat the outdoors. Makes sense. I mean, makes perfectly good sense.
Yep.
Whereas businesses, they have commercial code that they have to beat, and they have to change airflow, and airplanes are the same way. So they have to spend more money on air conditioning and heat and all that good stuff. But, I mean, if you're not looking, when you're hiking, you tend to be hiking and all facing, your 6-foot deadly zone, extending directly out from the front of your face. Like if I'm within 6 feet of you or within 2 feet of you, and we're back to back, and our heads are facing different directions, and we're talking, we're not in danger.
Yeah.
Especially if you're outdoors. So to me, it's like, I get if you're, dealing with like some spittle, and everybody gets excited and spittle comes out when you talk and whatever. And it happens to go in like your eye or something. Okay. I can see that, that's gross, whether you've got COVIDs or not. It's not a good thing. Now, mind you, I do jujitsu, and, we sweat, like big drops of sweat, just bloink right in your eye because, you're rolling around in Japanese pajamas with another grown man, and it's sweaty in that room. I mean, there's 20 guys all doing the same thing. The windows are steamed and whatever. But, and by the way, I've done that. I've been two-thirds of the way around the world and back in 2020. And I've taken my tests, and I've never been exposed to COVID.
According to the test.
According to the test.
Yeah. And it seems to me the biggest question is, how come people who don't give a crap about COVID don't seem to get it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
What explains that anomaly?
I'm certainly no COVID denier, right? A good friend of mine, his name was Christian Anarchist, and he called in here to the show, and he was a longtime donor. And he went into the hospital. I got some texts. I still hold them on my phone. He's dead, but I love his texts. I love to look at them. And, his wife's a doctor. He worked as an office manager at a medical facility. He likely caught it from somebody coming in to get treatment. And, it's real. So I don't know why he got it. And I think that some people are much more susceptible than others. He was 69, by the way, if you want to know. No, he is not morbidly obese. And to the best of my knowledge, he didn't have any really pre-existing conditions that one might be concerned with. So, it gets some people.
Yeah. But 99% or better recovery rate still.
Yeah. Especially if you're below a certain age. I think that if I had to do it all over again, and mind you, I said this when it was going on, this is just a geriatric problem. We should have kept people 65 and above, 75 and above, whatever the numbers are that we came out with, and given them a helper, right? So there's always somebody who's willing to help, and I can help. And we have people in our neighborhood. As a matter of fact, we take the dog for a walk. This lady who's in her 80s.
Yeah.
And, her dog's young. She's not.
Right.
Right. And, you get a little helper, and they deliver the groceries to you, and you can stay home, and you can be protected. And then once we all get the exposure out here, they call it verisimilitude, I believe is the terminology.
It's a good word.
Yeah. Then everything will be fine. Because the vast majority of people under the age of 65, it's amazing to me how these millennials are like, I don't want to get COVID and die. You're not going to get COVID and die. If you get COVID, you probably won't even know you had it.
Yeah. And you're going to live.
Yep. It's just that way. And I'm baffled by it. It seems to me that young people would want to get COVID so that they don't have to deal with it after that, because once you get it, you're not likely to get that strain again.
Like the old chickenpox parties.
Indeed. Now, I'm kind of the opinion that you're more likely to see something like this vaccine come around annually now.
Oh, no, I, in fact, think that was the plan all along, that you're going to have to continue to receive these injections because the government says so.
Well, let's go to the phones. We've got somebody messing with the phones here. Free Talk Live. Yep. Nope. I don't know what's going on.
It's the aliens, man.
Yeah. Well,
Do you want to hear any more about this article?
Well, what do you tell me about them, the zero COVID folks?
Well, rather than acknowledge to a weary public that their approach has been a failure, they're doubling down in an attempt to save their reputations. This is talking about the establishment.
Right. By the way, the failures are lockdowns do no good.
Right.
Masks apparently do some good, but people don't want to talk about the downsides of masks and the downsides of strapping a dirty rag over your face.
So these people are instead of admitting that, the lockdowns didn't work and the masks are marginally, if any, effective at all, they're doubling down, saying that they haven't gone far enough, these measures. There's apparently some diversity of opinion.
That's how it goes, is that you can show that basically Florida and California, with worlds different in implementation, are basically the same as far as the death rate and infection rate. By the way, death rate is probably right now below the excess death rate, which means that, there's no danger at all.
Right.
Let's go to the phones real quick. I don't know who it is. Free Talk Live.
Hello?
Hello. What's on your mind?
Hey, this is my name's Alton. Anyways, a little off topic.
No topic.
I know you guys are crypto fans, and I just generalized question. I wanted to know: is it possible for the government to shut down crypto? It being open source, open ledger, and decentralized. I'm just curious.
Not like a frontal assault in shutting down crypto, but thanks for the call. Appreciate it. The crypto6.com is evidence that the government can try to shut down crypto. So what
they can shut down people doing things that the government doesn't like, but crypto didn't ask to exist. It requires nobody's permission. It didn't go to banks and governments and go, hey, can we have permission to? No, they exist in the exact opposite way. They exist without permission.
Yeah, the accusations against the Crypto6 at thecrypto6.com is that they were selling Bitcoin without government permission. Now, there's interesting, the legal wranglings is all up to the attorneys at this point. But if you want to see freedom surrounding cryptocurrency, supporting these precedent matters.
Yes.
And supporting these people matters.
And the definitions.
You want them to have good legal counsel. And if you want good precedent, you need good legal counsel. And that legal counsel is going to be had by supporting people at thecrypto6.com.
Yeah, we're relying on the crypto community at large to assist with this because precedent will be set.
It is being set right now. I mean, and you can be involved or you could not be involved, but, cry about it later if you wish. It's thecrypto6.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that